Welcome to The Crawl. We're here to talk about beer and other tasty libations and where to find them. I'm Paul Kozalski, and my first episode of The Crawl took me to Knoxville, Tennessee, a city that's famous for reasons. Everybody's heard of Knoxville, Tennessee. I mean, like if you went to a random person on the street and say, "Hey, have you heard of Knoxville?" They would be able to say that's definitely an American city, and they probably also would be able to tell you that it's in Tennessee. But other than that, I'm not really sure why I know about Knoxville. It's kind of like the Vince Vaughn of American cities. Like, it's a big name, but I'm not really sure how it became a big name. But I'm not mad about it. It's certainly got its charms, and there's definitely worse ways to spend an afternoon. So, without further ado, let's see what Knoxville has to offer. So for this brewery, I decided to go with a sampler. Now, I normally never do samplers, and the reason is because I think that you should be able to just drink a full pint and kind of get used to that beer. But in this case, Krusen, who developed all of these beers, has really gone with a traditional style for all of these beers. He imports the hops from England, and even the IPA is not a traditional IPA. He's really holds back the hops to keep it more in line with what it used to be. So I consider this a broad palette of Al Krusen's design, and so for that reason I really wanted to try all of these beers and kind of sample everything as a whole. This is the alt beer. Most of the beers that they have are in the English style, but the alt beer is distinctively German. It's a little bit hazy with a red color. The Downtown Blonde Ale is their lightest beer. It's actually a Kolsch, and it tastes very much like a Kolsch. So I'm a little surprised that they called it a blonde ale, because blonde ales tend to be a little bit hazier and maltier, but it's very good all the same. Downtown Brown, subtle nuttiness and a flavorful bitterness. This beer more than makes up for its name. The New World Porter is inspired. A dark ruby red, not black, and with notes of sweetness, but not actually sweet, this one is an award winner. The State Street Stout is midnight black with a coffee-like bitterness and hints of oats. Extra special bitters hold a special place in my heart. Someone took a regular beer, made it more bitter, and served it warm. It is a very British idea, and when it's done well, it's one of the best styles that there is. And this place did it well. Finally, we have our IPA, and this IPA is something special. A lot of the pale ales that we're used to has hops like Cascade and Citra, which is very in your face, bites very hard and very floral. This has a more subtle approach to its hops. You can still taste it, but you taste it more on the back end. Definitely worth checking out if you wanted to know more about the history of hops. So those are all the beers. I think I've made it clear that the porter was my particular favorite, but really I'm very glad that I tried all 7 of these at once. It really was what I'd call the Al Krusen experience. Each beer had a distinctive flavor, a thumbprint, as it were, of his style. They're very light for this type of style of beer. They have this crispness and bitterness that comes from hops without having that floral component to it. And they really stick true to their individual styles. He doesn't want to vary from it. He just wants to bring its style out towards you. And I'm very glad that I got to try all of these beers and experience his interpretation of all these beers. So one final note about that beer sampler. It was $8, and that was like 3 pints worth of beer. So yeah, you should probably get the sampler. So that was my time at Downtown Grill and Brewing in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm sorry I didn't get any videos of Knoxville itself. It really is a beautiful city, and again, there's plenty to do there. I particularly enjoyed Graffiti Alley. The Market Square was also very nice. So definitely a great city, especially if you're traveling on a cross-country trip. It's a great way to spend an afternoon. I did ask the people at downtown, and they don't use water from Bourbon County over to their beer. That was a question that I had when I saw how much they cared about their beer and how much they cared about their bourbon. I kind of put 2 and 2 together, but that's not the case. They really do take care of their water. They use RO filters. So, I mean, this guy clearly knows what he's doing, Al Krusen. A lot of respect for what he does. But other than that, he just makes fine beer, and I would heartily recommend anybody to attend if they have the chance. Again, I'm Paul Kozlowski. Thank you for watching The Crawl.